Many of you might be familiar with a guy named Sean Diddy Combs. Now, what if I told you that Mr. Diddy took a lot of inspiration from one of our founding fathers? Yes, you might know that Ben Franklin was quite the player back in his day. Even to his old age, he was still getting game. And I'm not talking old game, I'm talking young game. So let's go into Ben Franklin from the beginning. Even from a young age, Ben Franklin was a pretty busy guy. He was pretty involved in his recreational activities, saying that he would often go to low women to find his sexual fixes. So obviously, when he's describing this, he's either talking about prostitutes or women in the area that he knew would give some up. So even from a young age, Ben Franklin was actively in the game, hunting for whatever you might call it, recreational activities, recreational pastimes. So even from there, Ben Franklin would go on to get married to this girl named Deborah. Now, him and Deborah would be married till the time that Deborah died. Now, technically, it was a common law marriage because she was never actually allowed to marry him fully because she was previously married while she was still married. And but technically, they were married. So, as you're well known, Ben Franklin had a lot of things to take care of. You know, he was founding a country, one of the founding fathers, so he would often have to go overseas to either England or France and stuff like that. But Deborah did not like traveling overseas, so she could not follow him. So often, Ben Franklin would go overseas himself. And when Ben Franklin was overseas, this is when the stuff would really start to take off. It is rumored that Ben Franklin obviously was a player. He had a lot of females back in his day, and when he was overseas, that is when most of it happened. Now, when I'm saying that he was a player, I'm not talking, he's going downtown to the slums, picking up 2s, 3s. I'm talking this guy's getting like 8s, 10s, and he's actively, partaking in that stuff. It is rumored, often he went for widows, and it is rumored that these widows were, they were hot stuff, Some of them are known for their beauty and intelligence. Others were musicians and stuff like that, and others run prominent businesses. So all of these were very high-renowned, highly regarded women that Ben Franklin kind of persuaded with his charisma, so to speak, and I'm sure he had some Diddy parties of his own back in the day. So with this all said, not only was he just partaking in this, he would also actively write these women, and these women would also actively write him. And, it would kind of get carried away sometimes, very romantic writing and stuff like that. Even Ben Franklin would write back to his wife talking about these women that he met, saying, these are some of the best women in England. And even when he would get back to America, sometimes he would try to invite the women back over to America so he could spend more time with them. So yes, he would pay, as Diddy would pay for your flight to come out to a Diddy party, Ben Franklin would pay for your voyage to come to a Franklin party. So yeah, there's a lot of similarities there. Was Ben Franklin the criminal that Diddy was? No, probably not. But was he partaking in the stuff? Yes. As I've already mentioned, Ben Franklin was married. A lot of these women he proposed to, obviously for the shock factor and stuff like that. I don't think any of them ever accepted. But it's still the thought that counts. So he would still be proposing to all these women and stuff like that. And it even became such an ordeal that the Queen of France, Madame, whatever, I forget, I keep on, Louise, Madame Louise, Franklin was a guy of much charisma, Mr. Electricity. There might have been something going on between the Queen and Ben Franklin. That's all I gotta say. Diddy and Queen Elizabeth met. I'm sure Franklin and Queen Madame Louise met. That's all I gotta say. So, with that being said, even later on in life, as I said, Ben Franklin was still getting, pretty high objective numbers. He wasn't going to the slums picking up the easy games. He was still, getting the young ones, even as he's getting up in older age. It's rumored that he had a young girl he was talking to while he was, going through his final moments that he would often write to and stuff like that, and she would write back. And yeah, it was this whole ordeal. And even going past, the women and stuff, just, his general actions. It's rumored that he would often write, he said that the textbooks to educate the young Americans were often, unconventional. They didn't really, teach a lot of necessary stuff. So what he did, he would write a paper in these textbooks about how to do a home abortion. He had a little too much fun one night, and 9 months later, just so happens that you have a baby pop out, but you don't want that baby. Well, thankfully, one of the greatest minds of our time, Ben Franklin, wrote a paper on how to do a at-home abortion. So that's all good stuff as well. And then, of course, you also have stuff like I believe that he also wrote he wrote this guy about getting married, and in this he was talking about trying to pick a mistress. Now, he would often say that picking an older mistress was better than a younger mistress. Well, why is this? He would say it's less arguing, less intensive, stuff like that. And then he would even go into greater detail saying, honestly, he said that the women look better when they're wrinkled. He said this looks better. He said the face is more filled. And he actively described in this letter that, how do I want to put this? Having recreational activities with older women kind of fills that need more. Having penetration with older women feels better. It's pretty much what Ben Franklin said. And that letter never was, published, but it's well documented, and you can go look it up yourself. But I'll obviously put it here. But yeah, with that in mind, Ben Franklin, Diddy, a lot of comparisons. I don't think Ben Franklin was the criminal that Diddy was, but honestly, I think Ben Franklin might have been more of a diddler than Diddy was. The guy was out. He definitely had some Franklin parties. He was definitely out and about. Little Franklin definitely saw a lot of action back in his time, and there was a lot of recreational activities and after extracurriculars that Ben Franklin participated in, especially with some well-known women, well-known, respected authorities that Ben Franklin, had his extracurriculars with. With that being said, next time, someone says, "Oh, well, Diddy's a bad guy. Diddy objectified these women." Just look at Ben Franklin, the guy, he was a great guy, founded America, and, he just kind of had his bad side sometimes. Not saying you should free Diddy or anything, but, some people just have their ways. Obviously, Diddy's not a good guy, but there's video of him beating a woman, but obviously, Ben Franklin, pretty Diddy-less guy, if I do have to say it myself. This will be it for today. Stay safe and stay hydrated.